Ladies and gentlemen, the following podcast is set for one episode. Your host from Columbus, Ohio, is Michael Kirk. Welcome to the Outlaw Mudcast. Hello and welcome to the Outlaw Mudcast, your digital audio dirt sheet for all things Supershow. It is November 20th. It is what SRG Universe is dubbing Supershow Sunday. Today, the Kickstarter campaign for Supershow the Comic issues 3 through 5 launched. Let me go ahead and talk about the campaign itself, where they are with the fundraising for the campaign, with the pledges for the campaign, and then we'll talk about community goals and the tiers in the Kickstarter campaign. I won't go through the funding goals again, except to talk about, which ones are coming up next. I went through those on last week's episode. So the Kickstarter campaign launched at noon Eastern on Kickstarter.com. The first big funding goal they were trying to hit was $10,000. If they could raise $10,000 in 10 minutes. $10,000, by the way, is the funding goal for the campaign. If the campaign does not raise $10,000 in pledges, people pledging to back at $10,000, the campaign will not launch. It will not happen. So they have to get $10,000 in pledges for the campaign to happen. Once they do, it's locked in, it will occur, but that has to be hit first. If that goal had been hit in 10 minutes, we would have unlocked the Fire Flash competitor set with a special +2, I believe, to the sub on the submission finish. Not completely sure of all of the details. It's not well written. But if the campaign was funded in 10 minutes, we would get the Fire Flash competitor set and we would get a special finish for it. I can tell you that the funding goal was not met in 10 minutes. After about 10 minutes, they'd only hit about half of the goal. I believe it was a little over $5,000. As of right now, the current pledged dollar amount, with essentially just over 4 hours in the campaign, $8,316. That's the current amount pledged. We have to hit $10,000 for the campaign to launch and for that Fire Flash goal. There are currently 93 backers for the campaign. Now, to compare this to last year, I mentioned this on the last episode of the podcast, and let me rephrase. I keep saying last year. What I mean to say is the last comic book Kickstarter campaign. In the last comic book Kickstarter campaign for issues 1 and 2 of the comic, there were 227 backers. They pledged $19,524. The original funding goal was $7,000. The original fully funding goal was 2 minutes in that first campaign. It took about 15 minutes to hit the funding goal, which for that campaign was $7,000. As a point of comparison, it took about 30 to 35 minutes for this particular campaign to hit $7,000. This campaign did not fund as quickly as the previous year's campaign. I was concerned that we would not hit 10,000 in 10 minutes, considering it took 15 minutes to get 7,000 for the first comic book. And I clearly was right to be concerned because as of right now, almost 4.5 hours after the campaign launched, as I'm recording this, after it started, we are still almost 2,000 shy of the $10,000 goal. We're at $8,316, so just under $1,700. That's where we're at now. Let me talk about the tiers first. There are multiple tiers in here. I'm going to go from the smallest tier up to the top, up to the highest. And I'll give you the number of backers as of right now backing at that tier. So, first tier in the Kickstarter campaign for the comic. Digital version of all 3 books. $10 pledge. You just get the 3 books, issues 3, 4, and 5, the opening act, the sideshow, and the main attraction. You get all 3 of those digitally, so in like a PDF file, for $10. That's it. No stretch goals. As far as I know, just that. The next pledge tier, $15. You get a physical copy of issue 3, the opening act. You also get a digital copy of that book. You get all of the pre-launch stretch goals and all of the unlocked stretch goals during the campaign. 13 people have backed at this tier. At the next tier, $30 tier. This is the opening act and the sideshow tier. You get digital copies of issues 3 and 4, the opening act and the sideshow, physical copies of those issues, and all of the stretch goals, both pre-launch and unlocked. Next tier up, $40. You get all 3 issues of the comic book. Physical issue 3, 4, 5, digital issue 3, 4, 5, and you get all the stretch goals, both pre-launch and unlocked during the campaign. Those tiers are all, from what I see, unlimited tiers. Meaning that if they have 1,000 people pledge at that tier, there will be 1,000. The tiers going forward, from what I understand, are limited. There are only so many spots available. The next tier, $80 tier, you get all 3 books plus all 3 books with alternate art covers. So you get everything in the $40 tier, the digital copies of issues 3, 4, and 5. You get the physical copies of 3, 4, and 5. And you'll get an additional physical copy of 3, 4, and 5 with a different cover. You get all the pre-launch stretch goals. You get all the stretch goals unlocked during the campaign. And from here on, all the tiers get this. There's going to be a Kickstarter exclusive alternate art Supershow the Game card. We don't know what that is yet. I assume that may be revealed at some point during the campaign. We don't know what that is. This tier is only available to 190 backers. As of right now, 39 people have backed at this tier. I think I missed some of these before. At the $30 tier, the 2-issue tier, we're 4 backers. At the $40 tier, the 3-issue tier, there were 22 backers. And then at this tier, this is the first tier that is limited. It's the first tier that gets you that Kickstarter exclusive card. $80 for essentially 6 copies of the books, 3 with the standard cover, 3 with an alternate art cover, and 3 digital copies. That's the $80 tier. It is limited, but I would not be shocked if this tier didn't sell out. There's 190 spots. That's quite a number of spots. The next tier up is a $160 tier. This is actually a retail tier. This is a tier for people who, if they want to get the comics in their store, they pledge at this tier. It's $160. They're going to get 2 copies of all of the issues from issue 1 to issue 5. They'll get 2 copies of the regular book, 2 copies with the alternate art cover. They'll get a copy of Supershow the Game. This tier is also limited. Only 6 people can back this tier. There is already 1 backer for this tier, so only 5 remain. But this is the retail tier, so if you have a comic store and you want to get a number of copies to sell in your store, you can pledge and do that here. The next tier above, $200 tier, cameo in the books. You essentially are able to get yourself drawn into a panel in one of the Supershow Comics issues 3 through 5. Looking at what's listed on the Kickstarter page, it looks like there's going to be a number of panels you can pick from. So you'll be able to pick from a list of panels. You will provide them a reference photo within 2 weeks of the end of this campaign. This campaign, it looks like, is scheduled to run 21 days. And then you will be drawn into that panel. There will also be a Super Show card using the art from the panel you'll be drawn in, and you will be able to get 3 copies of that card. They will be provided to you with this tier. So this tier has everything that is in the $80 tier, plus being drawn into the panel. There are 20 spots available. 6 people have backed at that tier. Next tier up, $500. You get everything in the $80 tier. So that's all the digital copies, all the physical copies, all the alternate art physical copies, the stretch goals pre-launch and during the campaign that are unlocked, the Kickstarter exclusive alternate art card, and you will get to be, and actually there is a mistake in here. They've got some of the language from the cameo in here. So there's an error in this. But basically, based on last year, you're going to get half a page in the book with essentially a biography of, I'm assuming, a competitor you want in there. So like, I created DJ Outlaw. If I pledged, I could get DJ Outlaw on a half page in the comic. It would give a biography of DJ Outlaw. It would have a picture of DJ Outlaw drawn in there. And then I would get a card featuring that DJ Outlaw art. That art would be used on a card, and then I could get a copy of that card, 3 copies of that card. That's the half page. There are 6 spots for that. 3 have been taken. And then the highest tier in the campaign, $900, full page spotlight. It's exactly the same as the half page, but it's a full page. And everything else exactly the same. And again, the language in here is not correct. It's missing details. So I'm going to need to reach out to SRG and I'll point that out. And we'll see what happens there. But you'll get everything in the $80 tier, plus the card, plus you're going to get a Champion of Kickstarter Super Show card. You will get that if you pledge at the $900 tier. As of right now, no one has pledged at that tier. The Champion of Kickstarter normally is $150. So if you factor that into purchasing at the highest tier, it does bring down the price of the highest tier a little bit. But as of right now, nobody has pledged at that tier. We'll see if somebody does. Right now, though, 0 pledges at that tier. Those are all of the tiers in the Kickstarter campaign. I'm going to just check real quick, see if there's been any update to the pledge total as I've been recording this. And as the page refreshes, we see that there has not. Still 93 backers, $8,316 pledged as of right now. There has been an update on the Super Show, the SRG Universe Facebook page. Let me give you what's on that page right now. So I had mentioned previously that the funding goal was if they hit $10,000 in 15 minutes, everyone that pledged in the campaign would get a copy of the Fire Flash competitor set, plus a special finish for that competitor set. They've amended their stretch goal list. They have to fully fund in 24 hours. If they do, Fire Flash will be unlocked. Like I said, at the time I'm recording this, we're getting close to 5 hours at this point. We're getting close to 5 hours into the campaign, so about 19 hours left. to get another $1,700. If they do, the Fire Flash competitor set will be unlocked. I don't know what happens if they fully fund, but it takes more than 24 hours. As of right now, though, that's the amended stretch goals for funding-wise anyway. That's the amended stretch goals funding-wise. Fire Flash will be released if it is fully funded. The campaign is fully funded in 24 hours. There have been no changes to the other funding goals. All of them that I gave you last week remain the same. They did release community stretch goals. Let me give you those community stretch goals right now. First, called Spreading the News. If there are 300 social media shares, there will be an additional promo card unlocked. Or let me rephrase that. It says an additional promo unlocked. Presumably that's a card. It could be something else. Second, community stretch goal. Bring a friend. Tag a friend on Facebook 200 times. I'm going to assume that's going to be on a pinned post on SRG Universe for the Kickstarter campaign. You'll get a promo card unlocked. That's what it says. Third, community goal. Buying the tickets to the Big Top. It's a backer goal. If they get 200 Kickstarter backers, unlock 3 promo cards. Last I looked, 93, so quite a ways to go. The previous campaign, I think, only had 220, give or take. I'd have to go look it up from memory. I want to say 226 from memory. So this is going to be close to that. And then the last community stretch goal, the talk of the town, 300 comments. There will be an alternate art card unlocked if there are 300 comments. I believe that is on the Kickstarter page itself. I believe you have to pledge to the Kickstarter campaign to make those comments. I don't know if it's unique or just 300 comments total. Those are the community stretch goals right now. That is where the campaign sits currently. Over the next few weeks, as the campaign goes on, I will update you with where we are every week regarding the Kickstarter campaign. The post to share for the social media sharing goals, for the community goals, is currently on the SRG Universe Facebook page, not the discussion group, the Facebook page. It is pinned at the top of the page. It's the one that starts, "Oh, hey man," it even says, "Share this to unlock the stretch goals." That is the one you will share. That is all I have on the Kickstarter campaign, Supershow the Comic, issues 3, 4, and 5. Next thing I'll talk about, CCC News. There will be no 2022 Create a Competitor competition. They are jumping straight to the 2023 Create a Competitor competition. Sign-ups are live now. They will be live through December 16th. If you want to enter the CCC, reach out to Pat Mulligan. He will give you an email address. You will send to Pat Mulligan through this email address your name, the name of the competitor you're entering in the CCC, a background, which is basically like a biography, who they are, where they're from, what they're about, those type of details, and a physical description, what the competitor is going to look like. They usually draw a sketch based on that description, so give a good description. As somebody who ran JAC last year and will be running him again this year, I was not happy with the sketch they made for him. It was off the mark. The description I gave was not well translated. So, be as descriptive as possible because you want your sketch to match what your vision for the competitor is. There were a couple of championship matches this week. Before Sunday Night Fights, there are going to be a couple on Sunday Night Fights. I'll tack those on to the end of the show as I always do. However, there were 2 this week before that. The first, an impromptu match. I didn't know was going to happen. Tuesday on the dojo, pretty much the start of the dojo, the friend Kane, the current intergalactic champion, came on the dojo and essentially chose one of the two Cuddle Commandos who were on the dojo. He chose the Frequent Flyer, and he gave the Frequent Flyer a shot at the Intergalactic Championship. So the friend Kane, playing as the Ultimate Fighter, took on the Frequent Flyer, playing as himself. There were 3 possible stipulations chosen by the dojo wheel: Bidder's Choice, Challenger's Choice, and either Steel Cage or Tables Match. I think it was Tables Match. I'm not 100% sure. But Bidder's Choice won, and fellow Cuddle Commander, the Italian Bombato, won the bid, asked the Frequent Flyer what he wanted to play, and so they played a tables match. This match went a little over 20 minutes, and unique to the dojo, at the 20-minute mark, it was crowd meter 2. Per dojo rules, when matches hit 20 minutes, they immediately jump to crowd meter 5. A little bit controversial. I don't know if the friend Kane or even the Frequent Flyer knew that was going to happen. I don't pay attention enough to dojo to know that was going to happen, but it did kind of surprise. But the match jumps to crowd meter 5. The winner at crowd meter 5 in the tables match, new intergalactic champion, the Frequent Flyer. Congratulations to him for winning that championship. The other championship match I knew about, I reported on the last episode, the Triad Championship. The champion, Mark Perry with the Alien Invader, new Alien Invader, versus the Cannoli as the Cannoli, versus Jason Faussone as the Dweeb. The match goes to crowd meter 2. The winner at crowd meter 2, new Triad champion, the Cannoli. Congratulations to the Cannoli for winning the Triad Championship. Those are pretty much the big stories for this week. A couple things before we get into the online tournament results from this past week. First, today is the final day of Phase 0 for Faction Wars 4. I'm not sure, and I'll clarify this more on next week's episode, if, as a result of Phase 0, this is where the cut happens. The bottom 6 have to play off, and then the top 16 goes on to Phase 1. Or if there's a little bit of seeding in Phase 1 based on these scores, and then after Phase 1, there will be a cut to a top 16. Bottom 6 will play off to make the top 16. So top 13 get a bye, and then the bottom 6, because there are 19 teams, play off for the last 3 spots in the top 16. I'm not 100% sure how that works. I will find out and report that on next week's episode. But this week's episode, the teams are reporting their last matches. Those are due by 11:59 tonight. Faction Wars 4 Phase 0 closing. Rising Stars Tournament starting soon. The deadline to sign up for the Rising Stars Tournament as a player or as a coach is Friday, November 25th. The Rising Stars Tournament, as I talked about last week, a tournament for players who are relatively new or who maybe don't play a lot online, mostly local players, but for players sort of, still making a name for themselves, so to speak, in the legendary Fighting Federation. This is a tournament for them. If you want to sign up as a coach, coaches are there to advise the players, help them with deck building, strategy, anything they can think of. Same deadline, Friday, November 25th. You'll go to supershowthegame.com. You'll go to the shop. You'll go to the online events section. Sign-ups for player and coach are listed like events. The same way you sign up for tournaments, you'll sign up to be a player or coach. As part of the Rising Star Tournament, to help build the prize pool, in addition to the prizes they're offering automatically, if you make a purchase on supershowthegame.com, you can use a promo code Rising Star. All one word, capital R, capital S. Both words capitalized, no spaces. Probably will work with no capitalization, but that's the way it's presented on the post that the general manager, John Clace, put up. If you use this promo code, you'll get 10% off of eligible purchases, and they will count what you bought. They'll apply that total. It'll help determine the prize pool. The more people who use that promo code, the bigger the prize pool for the Rising Star tournament. Speaking of promo codes, this Friday coming up is Black Friday. Now, nothing has been announced as of yet for any sort of Black Friday sale from SRG Universe. But there is a post on Twitter from Catalyst Wrestling that was retweeted by SRG Universe talking about an exclusive Black Friday deal. So, look for that this Friday, some sort of Catalyst Wrestling deal. I don't know how limited it will be, so you might want to check frequently, but there's going to be some sort of Catalyst Wrestling tie-in. Catalyst Wrestling is the latest box set from Super Show the Game based on that promotion. So there's going to be a Black Friday Catalyst Wrestling thing. Check that out and look into it. Also, oftentimes, there is a Black Friday promo code and a Black Friday sale. So look for that to happen. Be on the watch for that. Also, and I don't know anything about this, but I did mention there's a Rising Star promo code. If there's a Black Friday promo code, you might want to check if both promo codes work at the same time for your purchases. So if one's 10%, one's 10%, maybe you get a combined 20%. I don't know. But it's something you might want to check when they do the sale. Let's talk about the online tournament results from this past week. We'll start Monday night with Monday night consigliere fights. There were 20 players in this week's tournament. 4 groups, 5 players per group. Each player played the other 4 in their group. Top 2 from each group advance into the top cut. So 8 players make the top cut of this week's consigliere fights. In the quarterfinal round, all of the matches are played using the Beast Unchained stipulation. In the semifinal round, all of the matches are lumberjack matches, and the finals match, as well as the third place match, are steel cage matches. The top 4 are in 4th place, playing as the true American guy, Gregory Patrick Scott, Dustin Garman. In 3rd place, playing as Candyman Dan, Press 1P. The finalists were the Italian Bombata as the Witch's Apprentice and the Cannoli as the corrugated cardboard villain, with the winner of Monday night consigliere fights, the Italian Bombata. Congratulations to the Italian Bombata for winning Monday night. Thursday night, we have Chibi's Thursday night fights. A little bit of a different format for Chibi's Thursday night fights. This was actually a joint Chibi's Thursday night fights and a Boss Brody beatdown. So this was the Thursday night Boss Beats. What that means is this. The Boss Brody beatdown format is players get to bring 4 entrance cards. Although actually in this case, it's going to be 3 entrance cards, I think. And the way it works is this. In the group stage, they use 1 entrance card per match and they can't repeat. They have to use a different entrance card for each round in the group stage. And then when they get to the top cut, if they make the top cut, they use a different entrance card at each level of the top cut. There were 24 players in this tournament, 6 groups, 4 players per group, cut to a top 12. I'm assuming based on the number of matches, they only got to use 3. They might have been able to bring 4, I'm not sure. But they would only have used 3 in the preliminary and 3 in the top cut if they made the finals. Anyway, the top 2 from each group make the top cut, so there's 12 players in the top cut. First round of the top cut, all singles matches, special guest referee Chibi. Chibi's gimmick is that your opponent's printed 6 skill is -1 during turn rolls. Under the special guest referee rules, both players get to use that gimmick in addition to their own. So both players' printed 6 skills are -1 during the turn roll. After that, the next round, the semifinal round, is a top 6. The top 6 were, and I'll give them in match order. We have in the top 6, Jeffrey Fox playing as the pain artist Da Vinci Wade versus Chris Pate playing as Ricky Riot. We have Rowdy Ron as Lord Garrett versus the SRG BOSS as Jacques A. And we have Candyman as Candyman versus Hold the Line Harry as King Greatness. These 6 players square off in 3 lumberjack matches that start at crowd meter 2. In the end, the winners of these matches are Jeffrey Fox, Hold the Line Harry, and the SRG boss Steve Resk. So these 3 men meet in a triad tables match for the finals of this Thursday night boss beatdown, whatever they're going to call it. The triad tables match goes all the way to crowd meter 4, and in the end, Hold the Line Harry playing as King Greatness is pinned by Steve Resk as Jacques A. So Steve Resk as Jacques A wins the Thursday night boss beatdown. He wins the playmat. He wins the top prize. I think he's going to do something special with that playmat. He's not going to take it for himself. We will see. That is what happens on the Thursday night event. Friday night, Candyman has her free event where the winner is going to get special custom-made sleeves made by Candyman herself. Let me give you the facts of this event. There were 20 players in the event, no stipulations in the event, 4 groups, 5 players per group, top 2 from each group advance into a top cut, and then from there it's quarterfinal to semifinal to final, 8 players to 4 to 2 to a winner. The top 3 in the event, when it's all said and done, are in 3rd place, playing as the Roach, Noel Torres Jr., the Judge, Tim Riley. In 2nd place, playing as Anarchy's son, not sure which version, the Italian Bombata. And the winner, who will receive the custom-made Dragon Shield sleeves from Candyman, Chris Engler as Bandersnatch. Congratulations to Chris Engler for winning the free event from Candyman. This brings us to Sunday Night Fights. There were 2 matches on Sunday Night Fights, and in between the matches, announcements made by Steve Resk concerning the Kickstarter. So, first match, the Deep 6 Championship is on the line. The champion, Yasmin with Amazing Red, takes on everyone's enemy, Joel Williams, playing as Swim Files. Deep 6 is the 6-stop format. Players cannot play more than 6 stop cards in their deck. This match goes to crowd meter 1. The winner, still champion, Yasmin. Yasmin did play a DQ card. I think she had a few DQ cards in her deck. I don't know if Deep Six is a DQ format. Most stipulations in this game do not allow wins via disqualification. If Deep Six is one of them, that's news to me. I don't know. It seems like it was. I don't know if it's also a format you can win by countout. If it is, that's very interesting. But Yasmin successfully defends. Congratulations to Yasmin. You have represented the think tank well by retaining your championship. Then we have the announcements from the SRG BOSS concerning the Kickstarter campaign. He's announced two things. First, I brought up earlier in the show, there's an alternate art Kickstarter card with all the tiers that we didn't know about. He announced what that is. If you pledged at the $80 tier and above, this is the tier with all the physical comics, both the standard covers and the alternate art covers. If you pledge at that tier, the $80 tier, you'll receive a copy of a brand new spectacle, a Valiant spectacle, Tosses a Pretzel. This features art in the background of the Pretzel Wizard. First time I think we have an art version of a spectacle card. If you pledge at the $200 tier or above, so this is the cameo tier, the half-page spotlight tier, or the full-page spotlight tier, I assume you're going to get Tosses a Pretzel, but you will also get an alternate art card, Throws Cornbread from the Crowd. So Throws Cornbread from the Crowd already exists as a Newman Spectacle. This is a reissue with art in the background, similar to the Tosses a Pretzel. Those were the announcements. He also announced players have 24 hours to unlock Fire Flash, although there was some confusion because he made it sound like they only had 12. I think it's 24. We'll see what happens. But that's where we are right now. Kickstarter funding update. The last time I looked at the Kickstarter, and actually I'm going to pull it up right now as I'm recording this and check out what the current total is. The current amount pledged on the Kickstarter campaign with 104 backers is $9,039. That's where we are right now. As far as people pledging, maybe upping their pledge to try and get one of these new cards, I don't know if that's done a lot. Last I think I looked, it was 8,300. And then I think right before Sunday Night Fights, it was $8,550. So they've gained about $500 in the last couple hours. But that's where the campaign is right now. $9,039, 104 backers. Over 12 hours left to try to unlock Fire Flash. As of right now. Again, that's subject to change. I would not, assume that if the goal's missed, it'll come out some other way. If you're interested in pledging, I would say pledge sooner rather than later. Last match on Sunday Night Fights, the Hardcore Championship on the line. The champion, Chibi with Chibi, plays Harvey Luster using Scott Prime. Harvey Luster won the raffle at Misos Games to get the shot at the belt, and so he takes on the champion in a TLC match. A match that goes officially to Crowd Meter 4. I thought it might have gone to Crowd Meter 5, but apparently it only went to Crowd Meter 4. The winner at Crowd Meter 4, playing fully into his gimmick, Harvey Luster with Scott Prime. Harvey Luster is the new LFF Hardcore Champion. Congratulations to Harvey Luster on your victory. Let's talk about events coming up for next week. As of right now, on supershowthegame.com, there are no events listed. But, as always, look for an event Monday night. Look for Consigliere Fights. That will probably release on Monday. Thursday is Thanksgiving. So will there be a chibi or other event? We don't know. Maybe, maybe not. If you're interested in that, check out supershowthegame.com. Watch the Facebook group, the SRG Super Show discussion group. See if there's any announcements. Will there be something Friday? I don't know. Again, we'll just have to watch. Same thing with the Black Friday sale. It's likely, but we'll just have to watch. There is an in-person tournament I brought up last week. I'll bring it up again right here. It's being run by the consigliere to the SRG BOSS, Brian Schmidt. He is running Super Show Fall Brawl at Highlander Games in Boonton, New Jersey. I gave you the details last week. $10 entrance fee. It's going to be a grand battle tournament for a create a card. That's the grand prize if you win the grand battle. You will be able to create a card in Super Show the Game. You have to send your competitor to Brian Schmidt. There will not be duplicate competitors in the event. There will be side events. The Highlander Underworld and Heavyweight Championship will be defended. That's all the news I have on Super Show Fall Brawl at Highlander Games. It's a 1 p.m. start time per the post on Facebook. I don't know if that's bell time or if that's registration time. I tend to treat those as bell time and suggest getting there early. I do believe there will be more announced between now and Saturday. So if you're interested in going to Fall Brawl at Highlander Games in Boonton, New Jersey, which is near Atlantic City, watch for announcements on that. And with that being said, that is going to do it for this week's episode of the Outlaw Mudcast. I'd like to thank all of you for listening, and a good day.